The idea that to see involves more than just opening the eyes and exposing the retina to the environment. It means then, in a sense, the mind sees through the eyes and directs the eyes as what to see. We, in hypnosis, we deal with something that we call sometimes negative hallucinations. That is, getting people, let's look at the other type of hallucination first, say the positive hallucination. The positive hallucination, of course, is getting people to see what is actually not there, to see things that are actually not present in reality. And of course, some of you probably have seen those kinds of hypnotic tricks, where you tell the hypnotic patient, the client, that he has a rabbit in his lap. And of course, there's nothing there, and he then proceeds to pet it and play with it, even though it's not there. This is what we call a positive hallucination. You can also produce a negative hallucination. You can tell the hypnotized subject that an object which is right before his face is not there. And he will see everything except that particular object that you've directed him not to see. You see this sometimes in certain forms of schizophrenia, for instance. The schizophrenic, some types of schizophrenics can look and see everything on this podium here, except perhaps this tape, even though it's right there before their eyes. Sometimes it's fascinating when you look at people who are so-called mentally disturbed, particularly the schizophrenic, because you can see the enormous powers of the human mind. And in this instance, so what we're trying to talk about here then is that if your mind and your brain is inefficiently programmed, then that inefficient program will misdirect your eyes, will misdirect your senses, will create for you then a reality that is, in a sense, unreal. It will mean then, since you are missing reality and missing parts of that reality, you cannot efficiently cope with it. To a good extent then, when we look at the history of the African man in relationship to the European, we see a man whose reality has been created for him, whose mind and brain has been created in such a way that even the most obvious things in reality are overlooked and not seen. And this is often done through what we call this so-called education. Remember, I alluded to the idea of trained eyes, experienced eyes, which means that an individual's mind has been created so that the eyes can find what that individual is looking for. What makes you think then that the European who trains your mind is going to train your mind to see reality in such a way that it will overthrow his dominance over you as a people? How do you expect to see reality from a people who write your history in such a way that you don't even see yourself there? So when you look at history, you're not there. You look at American history, you're not there. You look at world history, you're not there. You look at anthropology, you're not there. And if you are there, you're there as a primitive Stone Age kind of people, never having written anything or contributed anything. You look at economics and you're not there except perhaps as a commodity in and of itself. You look at mathematics and you're not there. You look at every discipline and you do not see yourself. What kind of reality then can we be looking at as a people? when our minds have been trained in such a way that we have literally negative hallucinations as well as positive hallucinations. It's amazing then that when we look at these disciplines where we don't see ourselves, so many of us call this kind of education in these disciplines a good education. It's an amazing kind of things. You've had a people who have hung you, lynched you, degraded you, enslaved you, killed Indians, colonized people all over the world, killed millions and millions and millions of people, exploited people, destroyed people, polluted the earth, have they done such a job on the earth until you begin to wonder if they come from the same planet.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties, but I'm glad I played that last part. Um, so shouts out to that. I'm waiting for Cassidra to come on here, but I appreciate all of y'all for listening and all of y'all for tuning in tonight. And we definitely gonna get straight to the topic. And the point of all of this, right, is to, for me, even just here, right, this platform, this program here, right, we need to start programming, reprogramming, whatever it is ourselves. We got to come from such a negative place, right? If you hear about what he was talking about in the beginning with the delusions, right? Because we almost have no chance. And by the time that you learn anything, you got to go through all of these things because life is already hard enough. And then you add on all of these mindsets, right? Because especially us, like, we are powerful in being able to create our own lives, but is our mentality, our mental state, that is important. You know what I'm saying? And as long as they can control and manipulate the way that we talk to ourselves, right? Because the way that we treat ourselves is going to reflect in the kind of relationships you have, because you can only get what you put into yourself is the only thing that can come out. If not to sound like on some deep stuff, or because that's not even deep, it's just if you are already coming from such a negative place of self-hate, and then you wonder why you make the decisions that you make, things play out because you have thoughts that they put into your head. These aren't even our thoughts, right? Of this, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not handsome enough, or whatever it is that you going through. They are thoughts that put into your head that turn into actions, right? And then those actions determine your outcome. And then we look around and wonder why we can't trust each other, when deep down is really we can't trust ourselves. We abandon ourselves, and then wonder where this this hatred comes from, this feeling. And I am angry that they put this mentality into our heads, you know what I'm saying? That they set up the system the way that it did. What's going on, Cassandra? How you doing? Um, I can't. You on mute if talking. But
Hey,
hey,
can you hear me? Hey, how are you?
yeah, I hear you. I'm good. How you doing
Can you
today?
hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I think you got a delay, Cassandra.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm trying to, yeah, I'm good today. Woo wee, long day, I tell you.
Yeah. What's going on, Matron?
What's
I
going
think
on,
you got a
Mason?
delay. Yeah, you got a long delay, Cassandra. It take like a minute for you to hear what I'm saying.
I hear you okay. So you can't hear me? Good. Do I need to come out and come back in?
Probably. I can hear you
Okay.
clear. It's just it taking you a minute to respond to what I say.
Okay. Let me see. Maybe I got too many windows open on my computer. Let me close some windows down. Let me close some windows down. Is that better?
Can you can hear me now?
Uh-huh. I can hear you.
All right, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. So yeah, shouts out to Matron in the building.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I was saying this
Hey,
because
Matron.
I was coming on here, and I was kind of ranting wait until you came on here, but I was just talking about like this mentality of like self-hatred that's put into our head where we have all of this negative self-talk, right? That comes and then we wonder why we have such toxic relationships like with our loved ones, families, mothers, brothers, uh people that we try to date, all of this stuff where but it's not put there by accident, in this like it should piss us off that we even have to come from like life is already hard enough without the BS that they put into our head where we feel like we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, smart enough. I'm not, maybe if I had did this right, like no, like we are powerful beings to we can set our attentions, like make plans and do the actions and with the confidence like yo I am good enough, all I got to do is just do this and it's going to work out. It's a difference how you move, what I'm saying, when you know and have confidence in yourself and when you don't. But they automatically set us up from children to where we almost have no choice or no like before we can even know it, we are automatically damn near put on a negative track unless you have parents who already went through whatever trauma you gotta overcome. But one generation is gonna have to take that pain to overcome. But I ain't gonna keep ranting though. So
No, you're right. You're right. And we can see it in Burkina Faso, how that young man has taken it and he's running with it. And white folk get mad, because he wants to take care of his own. And it's gonna take us fighting through this stuff because they're not used to us doing that. They're not used to us standing on what's good for us. They're used to us bowing down and doing what they want us to do, even on the jobs, doing what they want us to do. You try, even on your job, you try to think different. You try to have your own business. You try to do things different, even on your own business. You have to put up with some crap. Either some Karen walking up there and having a whole lot to say about something that don't even belong to her. So I totally get it. But it's going to take us as parents like myself, grandparents, okay, to fix it. But each one teach one, and you teach yours. You start with your grandchildren, you start with your children, you start somewhere. We're not doing that. We're passing the buck, and we hope the teachers get it. But no, this is our job. We see something wrong, we have to fix it. Nobody else is going to fix this for us but us. So until you get tired of being at the bottom and scraping the bottom, nothing is going to change for us unless we change it, and they gonna get mad because as we see now, they're already on their way down to the bottom. We're rising up. That's why they can't kill this dude. 20 times, nobody's able to murder him. 20 times, I would be scared to touch him. I'd be like, man, we better leave this dude alone. They don't have it. They don't get it yet. But I'm going to tell you what, they better get it real quick. And everybody that's helping the enemy against their own brother, the same ditch that you digging for him, you're going to fall into it.
all
And I'll
facts.
rest with that.
Yeah, all facts, all facts. And speaking of that, let's just get into it. I'm gonna bring it up again when we talked about it last week.
We're gonna keep talking about it because we need some attention on it. Black folk nationwide should have rose. Black folk globally, in America, Jamaica, Bahamas, every around the world, four corners, Black folks should have been rising for this brother. Period. And they don't even have it on the news because I'm sure they did, but they don't even have it on the news. Why
Oh
would I
yeah,
put something that positive on the news to support, my own demise?
yeah, and yeah, this not American news here. So, but this is black people, thousands of black people would say in Burkina Faso to support them.
Thousands of people rallied in Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, on Wednesday in support of transitional President Captain Ibrahim Traoré. They were angry over remarks made by the head of United States' military in Africa, General
That's
Michael
right.
Langley. Earlier this month,
Stand
he
with your
accused
brother.
Traoré of using the country's mining resources to benefit the junta instead of the people.
Je parle aux prédateurs.
The American general, and especially the predators, should stop lying. Burkina Faso is not against anyone, but we will no longer tolerate looting. The general is a liar. We own it, we use it whenever we want, and sell it to whomever we want.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
If they want to eliminate Captain Traoré, they should eliminate the people first. What we experienced in the 1987 assassination will not be repeated. What happened to Captain Sankara will not happen to Captain Traoré. We will go all the way to defend our president. The rally comes days after the military authorities said they'd uncovered what they described as a plot to overthrow the government. Several members of parliament attended the gathering, including Prime Minister Jean-Emmanuel Ouedraogo. The time has come to never again kneel before the world. May the people of Burkina Faso free themselves once and for all, and may the people of the Sahel free themselves permanently. Let Africans and freedom fighters in the rest of the world stand up, because the fight will go on until victory. Demonstrators came from across the country in what was the biggest show of support for the junta since Traoré seized power in a September 2022 coup.
Don't matter how he got power. They want to keep saying that, but it don't matter how he got the power. He got the
power.
power.
Supposed to get it.
Exactly. If you got a president in place that's not doing what they're supposed to do, then guess what? Move over or move him over, and you do what you need to do. It's all about taking care of our people. It's all about taking care of us. They can take care of France, can take care of themselves. America can take care of theirs, but you don't want this man to take care of his people? Why? Why? Everybody should be eating. There shouldn't be a poor, shouldn't be a broken soul, shouldn't be a hungry soul in Africa. You know how many millions of dollars, millions and trillions of dollars that's in Africa? Everybody should be eating. And they're not, because when they try, then they get, okay, but this ain't gonna happen to him, because guess what? It's our time. He's on an assignment. And if we don't understand that, if we don't see that, I feel sorry for you, because you should know this by now. 20 times, and he's still walking around. When Sankara, what did it take one time? 20 times. He's been set up so many times by his own people. And they should be, I'm not even going to say all of that, but you know what I'm saying. It shouldn't be tolerated. You come against him, we're going to take care of business. Period. And I'll rest with that.
Shouts out to Raw in the building too. I appreciate you coming through, Raw. And the thing is, like, it's you embrace that anger. You're supposed to be angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something that you deny. It's like your emotions is letting you know you're not supposed to be controlled by them, but they let you know stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's letting you know that something is not right, and you know that you are being violated. Your personal human boundaries is literally being violated. But the point, and like we're gonna talk about in a minute, the point is though they go through something so much that our indoctrination leads to us to be ignorant without even like to where it's on an impulse. You know what I'm saying? You have to literally gain control of your thoughts, you know what I'm saying, your
On purpose.
emotions, you
Yes.
know, what you watch,
Yes.
and then you use those emotions to be ready to fight for what you believe in and for your children. And you see, like, for black people around the world, at some point it's going to have to draw the line in the sand and use that anger that you have to do what has to be done, or we're going to be annihilated anyway, or continue to be annihilated. But what else do we have to lose, you know?
Right. You're dying anyway.
Yeah. um let's keep going. Let's see, I ain't gonna watch too much because this is like 30 minutes.
He is doing exactly what the people of Burkina Faso and many other African countries wish their leaders were doing for them.
Where he spoke of ingratitude.
Country, the ultimate aim of which is to sow total chaos with a view to placing the country under the tutelage of an international organization capable of regaining control in 10 or 20 years' time, depending on the instigators.
And the situation unfolding in Burkina Faso are unmistakable. Leaders who seek the true African sovereignty often face disinformation campaigns designed to weaken their influence. If Burkina Faso is left vulnerable to such maneuvers, it may suffer setbacks that will take generations to
Ain't that
undo.
something?
Africa Bureau, we on, Wild is one.
And the thing is, like, it's not that we've ever been stupid, you know what I'm saying, but we understand globally, right? You don't They literally will die without you. Like, every
Yeah.
time they were last time they were out you, it was the dark ages where they was dying off. And I'm not even trying to be funny, but it's the kind-heartedness that is like, it's something not right, because it's not kind-hearted, because you can't do that while loving yourself. You wouldn't do something. It's like, it's almost like a lesson that we have to learn, that it's the relationship or whatever, it's the relationship with yourself, to where it's enough self-love in yourself to know, I ain't letting somebody just like, yeah, how you gonna tell me I'm gonna give this up to you? Like, no. And
Exactly.
it's okay if people don't like you. You know what? If they try to fight you, 9 times out of 10, unless they got like 20 people in a cannon, they gonna be missing part of their skull. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Like, that's the most that anybody can ever do, is to threaten you with violence. You know what I'm saying?
Because you doing the right thing. Ain't that something? You taking
Hmm.
care of your people and they don't want you to eat. Are you serious? I can't feed my people. I can't eat, but you eating over there and you coming over here taking our minerals so that you can eat, but you don't want me to feed my own? Then guess what? You don't get no more minerals. That's exactly what I would tell them. They better be glad I ain't the president, because would no crackers be over there? I mean none, not a one. And I mean that.
Not one.
When I say not one, I mean just that. Not one.
You know
Indian,
what? Because
Palestine, all of them.
and the extra ban on the white girls and the children.
Oh God,
Extra ban.
totally an extra ban. I bet not see one mixed marriage over here. And I mean that you got even the Ivory Coast president got a white wife. What the hell we doing? Chad, Ivory Coast. Now they spreading out over there. He didn't got a French woman. So that's why he's so in the bed with French, because his wife is white. Now what's going on with that? You over a whole country, you can't get a black woman. You got to go get a white one. You know you tired. You know you ain't got no business over no black folk, because you don't even like yourself. So I know you ain't gonna do what you're supposed to do for your people.
Yeah.
Okay, ain't no way in the world you laying up to a white woman and you pro-black. Ain't no way. And then he's sitting up there, got friends over there going against his brother. Do you think he'd be able to come to America and go against France? I'm just saying. You think Ivory Coast black men will be able to come to America and go against France with Trump? Really? We know that wouldn't work. You know that they don't go against each other, but we do every time. They could always pull one of us down by using one of us.
You know what's crazy, Cassandra? I just thought about it. I think, and then I'm not even trying to be funny, but like, yo, the almost the only it's like so like paradoxic that you the only way you might could get black people to fight for like to end quote unquote racism is to say you can have like a white girl or a white dude in peace, and then they'll
Okay.
fight it. Like,
Other than that, they ain't coming against. They not coming. No. Other than that, they ain't gonna do that. No, they ain't coming against their own. I mean, they ain't coming against the white folk. No, heck no. Because then they can't have that white access. If they come against, white folk, then they lose their access. Of them animals.
yeah, but
No more bestiality.
my only thing is though, right? For the brother you said trying to get with France or whatever, the same thing happened literally in the Haitian at 1800. That's why I'd be like, I can't get nobody a pass after like 1700. Literally, the dude, the brother got killed because he wanted to be a part of France, and he went over there to France, and they killed
And they
him.
killed him. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? That's how what happened to St. Carl. Well, no. Patrice Luma, wasn't it? He didn't, he separated. They called him out to do something, and he went, not understanding the dangers, right? We still don't understand the dangers, but he wasn't, he was trying to free his country. He was trying to do the same thing this brother doing. But my thing is, we have to know who we dealing with. We gotta know whose children these hybrids are. You know, the hybrids, the fallen seeds, the nymphums, those are their children. Those are their children. And we don't understand that. We're not recognizing who these people are. We got to understand who the enemy is. If you don't understand the enemy, you're going to fall for them every time because they're going to come and smile in your face. And all the time, they want to take your place. What they call them, backstabbers? That's what they are. But we have to start recognizing it. We've been around them long enough to know, and we still act like we don't know that. I don't understand. We still act like we, in a deer with headlights. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we've been stabbed in every part of our body at this point.
Yes. And I still want to be your friend with a
Yeah,
knife in his hand. He got a knife behind his back. You tell me you want to be his friend, but you don't see the knife. He's like, come on over here, smiling in your face, but all the time. Okay. And you still don't get it? What's it going to take for you to get it? That's all I need to know. What's it going to take?
yeah. And shouts out to Bawana in the building.
Tawana.
And then I'll play this. It's not really a video. I'll just play different parts. But he said 500 plus Jamaicans, Ghanaians, and
All
Black
right.
Americans
Yes.
out there.
What does this mean to you?
It means a lot. It means a lot to all of us here. All the Africans that are here, Africans all over the continent, all the diaspora, it means so much to us. We're leaving a legacy for our children and our children's children. One people, one Africa, we're all united. It's no more separated. We can see, our eyes are open now. The youth are waking up, which is brilliant.
Yes.
We will have one united Africa. And
Yes.
who I call president of Africa is awakening all the other presidents on the African continent. He's doing so well. He's doing fantastic. We're 100%, 2,000% behind him. Africa and Africans were united. I mean, already we can see Jamaicans, not only Jamaicans, Caribbeans, but all the diaspora worldwide are waking up. Their blinkers are off. They can see. We know what's going on. No more will the West bully us. No more will the West bully us. We are one people. We are united. One Africa will rise again.
Yes, it will. It's coming up now.
We have to
You think the crackers don't know that?
Yes, we've had enough. Yeah. Enough is enough, and this is our time. So all I'm saying, take your hands and clear off our brother.
Well, one. What does it mean to you, like in terms of bridging the gap between ourselves together to Africans who do not even understand that this mission or this movement is a movement of re-understanding and building Africa together?
Okay. Yes. What it means to me is that what Kwame Nkrumah spoke of all along in terms of the unification of Africa, to break down all the borders and to do away with this tribalism and so on that is on the continent. It means that Ibrahim Traore have given us that opportunity to let us aware that he's ready to go all the way, and he's putting his lives on the line for us.
Yes.
And we are ready to go all the way with him to unify Africa
Yes.
and to ensure that Africa's integrity and sovereignty is upheld.
Wow, that is so amazing. Your message.
And the thing is, it has to be consequences, and and even like with Cassandra, right? If you think about it, right? Do you think America is gonna be like to be like when they be like give somebody the death penalty and put them in the electric chair? They don't be like, oh, well, I just believe in I don't believe in, but no, they just be like, no, we gonna give an eye for an eye. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no hesitation saying that. You know, because they understand we have humanity. I understand it's the humanity, but maybe this is the lesson that humanity has a spectrum to where sometimes it has to be um uh, if somebody commits a crime, then they have to pay for the crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes the kind-heartedness is what burns us every single time. You know, but anyway, it's more people.
Yes, that's my
The lack of medicine, the lack of education.
I think she's from
All
America. I
these
think.
things, so we're fully aware of Burkina Faso and the need to be free because we fought for freedom for almost 400 years, Black Americans. We wasn't able to ride the bus. We barely had food. The schools were segregated. The bathroom was segregated. The chop bars in the restaurants were segregated. Color here, white there, color here, right there. Churches was bombed. They sent dogs on our men to bite them in their private areas. We were drowned, we were beaten, we were hung. So we
Who
know
does that?
Burkina Faso is going through, and we are one with.
Yo, considering you know what of all the stories I heard, and I probably heard worse, but one that stand out is one Sunday morning. This the '60s. They let a bunch of dogs in a church on a Sunday morning and lock the doors on the people.
Ooh, honey. Ooh, honey. I'd have been killing me up some dogs. I'm sorry. All them
It's
people in
crazy.
it, and y'all couldn't handle no dogs? Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened, but they was like, yo, on a Sunday morning, like they just like their people was just having church, you know what I'm saying? They was just in church service. And then they just put some dogs in the church and locked the doors.
That'd have been the last time them dogs would have been seeing or biting anybody.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is so amazing. What message do you have for the president of Burkina Faso?
Oh, Ibrahim Traore, I love you so much. You know, I'm obsessed with Thomas Sankara since my 20s. Sankara used to come to me in my dreams. Sankara used to talk to me in my dreams. I used to go crazy. Sankara was
All right.
West America, that enough is enough. Enough is
So you
enough.
see brothers and sisters from all over the world.
That's right. That's what it's about. Supporting our brother.
Exactly.
Supporting our brother. That's what it's about. But I'm telling you, I see the change. I see it moving. I see it shifting. I see the shift.
Right.
Burkina Faso's military government,
and hopefully the young generation seem to be about that life is like more desensitized, but also keeping the blackness intact, you know, and to a certain extent, to a larger extent than in recent history, since probably like the '60s, really, or the '40s or the '30s. Well, really, since like the '20s, I guess.
has accused neighboring Ivory Coast of playing host to coup plotters aiming to overthrow the ruling government led by Captain Ibrahim Traore. The failed attempt, announced by Security Minister Mahamadou Sana, was reportedly masterminded by a network of both current and former soldiers, some allegedly linked to terrorist groups, to launch a violent assault on the presidential palace on April 16, 2025. The operation, authorities claim, was designed to plunge the country into chaos and pave the way for foreign intervention. But the controversy does.
It's to kill him. All of them is to kill. It's not their job. They what they want to do is not just kill you. It's to erase you if they can't flip you in history, they want to erase you completely from history. You know what I'm saying? What they did with Nat Turner, they tried to kill anybody who mentioned Nat Turner. Right? You still have black people today be like, Harriet Tubman ain't real, but they be like, John Brown is. That's how sick we are in the head. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole like, but the key is though, what do they do? Is like, what do you do if somebody tries to come at you? You take out their leaders. So you take out enough leaders, then you got enough people being like, oh well, I saw what they did to Malcolm X. I ain't finna be no leader for these black people. Like, it's for yourself, fool, and your kids. You know, be selfish for yourself.
Yeah. But you
It's
want
like,
support, but it's for your generation. But you will turn around and ignore or not support because you scared. But and then it really makes me mad when you see other people like Ivory Coast going against him, going against change. You're going against the grain. You're gonna lose because this is our season. And when black folk don't understand that this is our season and you go against the grain, that means your time is done. You're done. Your time is up. Because those are very dangerous people. The coons that's going against his brother, those are very dangerous people. They can't come into the kingdom. They can't come into the new era. They can't because they're too dangerous. They'll never let them white folk go. So we'll have to continuously to fight them off. Go ahead, I rest.
oh yeah. A lot of uprisings, like even the black person think they wasn't snitching, but they don't want their whatever white person they love to get hurt. So they go and tell them about the uprising, and then the rest is history.
Doesn't end there. According to the military group, the masterminds weren't operating in isolation. They were, allegedly, coordinating from Ivory Coast, a charge that has escalated diplomatic friction between the two neighbors to unprecedented levels. The latest incident is only the most recent in a string of alleged coup attempts. In January 2024, authorities claimed to have foiled another plot involving military officers, activists, and civilians who allegedly received foreign backing. Intelligence officials said the group sought to turn public opinion against Traore's regime by targeting pro-government civilian groups. Ibrahim Traore emerged from relative obscurity to become one of the youngest heads of state in the world, a military officer trained.
All right, so we're gonna stop right there. But you see that most times when they can't, the last thing they gonna do is get another black person to come and try to take you out, like one of your own, when
Yeah.
all else fails.
One of your own.
Hmm.
That's the sad part. But ain't that what Margaret Sanger said? Get one that look like them. Because you can walk among them when you look like them. Because you'll kind of trick them. But we've been around them long enough to understand how they operate. That's what blows my mind, because we still fall for the games. We still fall for it. But this is not new. They don't have any new playbooks. They still operate out of the same old playbooks. And we don't understand that yet. So they keep getting us with the same old message. And you know why? Because we're not educating our babies to understand history. And they're not discussing history. So if you don't discuss the history, we don't know the history, because we don't talk about our history in our homes, or we too busy talking about we're not African, but your DNA says Africa. But your DNA, it ain't about where you was born. It's about your DNA. Where did your DNA originate from? And so many people will deny that, which is so ridiculous to me, because I'll never hear no other culture denying their history, denying their DNA ever. But we'll deny it in a minute. Or then tell somebody else and want us to jump on the wrong bandwagon. No, where's your DNA from? So we have to stop and think about what we're saying and support our brother no matter what. Doesn't matter where we are, your DNA came from there. So that's your brother right there. So when you hear white folk, and I hear some people say, well, white folks supporting him. I don't care. Let them tell their people. They don't need to tell us nothing. They can go over there and tell their people. Okay? I don't want to hear what white folk got to say. I don't care what you got to say. All I care about is black folk supporting black folk and us doing what we need to do to support our brother. Period. All of this divide and I'm not African and I'm not. Look, enough is enough. If you don't know your history, be quiet until you learn your history. And I rest with it.
And that's the thing, Cassidra. See, what Europeans could probably never understand is not, and that what we have to remember, it's not about a person, it's an energy. Like, it doesn't matter who's there. You could take out whoever. Well, you can't just take out whoever. That's the thing. You try to take out somebody, then you take out two of theirs. Like that. And every war, Dessalines said, he didn't say, I don't want to be French. You take out one of mine, I'll take out two of theirs.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And he did what he had to do. Now, one of his own probably took him out, but that's like kind of just what I'm saying, but that's the point though. We got to a point where it became a person that represents that, but it's not a person, it's an energy. Like if I wasn't here, somebody else would be saying this. It's you can't stop it. You cannot stop it. Like, so whoever it is, somebody else would just come up like, nah, now we even more determined to make sure that not only do you pay for what you did, but you really ain't getting that now. It's not an individual thing. It's an energy, not a person,
Yes.
But
man, I love it.
Do you want to go straight to the next topic, or because I should have showed this at the beginning before we got into this, but it was probably gonna make you mad.
It's up to you. You show whatever you got. You already got it lined up, so it's okay. You always trying to make me mad. Well, I tell you. No, I'm kidding.
So we should be mad. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly, huh?
Georgia, black homeowners being forced out of their neighborhood.
Oh, really? Wow. How are you forced out of your neighborhood?
Fight to stay in their homes continues for a group of residents in Villa Rica. They could be forced to move as a proposed road project gets set. As of now, go right through their properties if it's allowed to proceed.
Don't they always, wait a minute, hold on. They always do this, right? Why don't they go through no white folk neighborhoods to build roads? This is what they always do. So when are we going to stop that? When are we going to stop that? Where are the lawsuits for that? Because that's discrimination. We got attorneys in the black in the black community. Why aren't they doing what they went to law school to do? So where are the lawsuits?
They trying, but they in their courts.
This still shouldn't be happening. This still shouldn't be happening, though. How many cities did they put underwater? Lake Lanier. Okay. How many cities? Oscarville, ain't that what it is? That's what it was, right? How many cities they put underwater and nobody stopped that? Even now, this is 2022, 2025. We should be able to do better.
Yeah, you could say 1825.
Okay, something, huh? This is crazy. Why are they still allowed? Just like that other black couple. Where were they at? That they took half their land or wanted to put a road through their land. This was their land. And they came up telling me, we want to put a road. Look, you ain't put no road through here. You better go behind there somewhere. Why you gotta come through this land? They always pull it. I told you they don't have no new tricks. None. But they keep getting away with the old tricks. Why? What are we not doing that we need to shut that down? What are we not doing, or what is it that we need to do so that they can stop doing that?
I could tell you. Courts in the street. That's the only court that's to listen.
Hey, I'm saying. But
that's like,
why won't we do it?
But think about it, Cassidra. If a deer be like, all right, hold on, lion, don't eat me. Let's go to trial about this first. And then you have a jury full of lions, judge lion that's a lion. And then you be like, and the deer be like, look, I'm just eating grass. You know what I'm saying?
Minding my business.
Minding my business. And the lion was like, look, you eating my grass. Like, And the judge would be like, "Yeah, you're right. You are eating his grass." But I've been on this land for 2,000 years, and he got here like 50 years ago. Well,
we taught him how to do. We taught them. We educated them. But the student becomes the teacher becomes the student. Make it make sense.
But deer are smarter than us because they just run away from lions. We try to go to court. That's crazy. But check this out.
Fight. It's been going on for years, and Fox 5's Kim Leffler has been sharing their concerns. Kim, very frustrating for them.
Yeah, it really has.
Oh, yo, I meant to say, Cassidra, because you were saying that, and most of the towns didn't go down like Black Wall Street because Black people was whipping their hindparts.
Yes,
And
we're going to do
so,
slave revolt next time. We need to talk more about those slave revolts.
mhm.
All of them.
But the thing is, though, how they destroyed most of the Black towns was building highways through them, which most people don't talk about like that, which was the Highway Act in 1954. And here, Jackson Ward was a beautiful community. You know what I'm saying? Like they still got the theater from back then, but it just got boards on it. But it was they called it quote unquote Harlem of the South in the books. But it was, Maggie L. Walker and all of them rich Black people was here, all of that stuff. And they built the highway. And now you can go to Jackson Ward, if you want to.
But ain't nothing there. They didn't colonize it.
It's the projects. And Cassidra knows what Jackson Ward is now, But anyway,
This is not the first time residents have spoken out about the Mirror Lake Connector project. Some of those families have owned these properties for decades, and that's why residents say they plan to continue to fight to stay in their homes. With signs in tow, these residents made their voices heard Saturday, fighting to stay in their homes.
They have no answers for our community. Only thing they want to do is find ways to take.
The city of Villa Rica wants to extend the Mirror Lake Connector through the spot where homes currently sit. The goal is to connect the Douglas County side of Villa Rica to the downtown area. But residents say they're not leaving, with many of these families owning these homes for decades.
They're not going to take it. They're going to have to pay for it. But we don't want to move. My sister and them don't want to move, and they will not.
They've been talking for more than a year saying they don't want this. Residents from Mirror Lake have even come over and said, we didn't ask for this. But yet they have willfully continued to push this forward.
Residents also say there's been a lack of transparency from the city. Back in December at a community meeting, interim city manager Diana DeSanto said the project was needed due to growth in the area. In that meeting, she also said she hopes to come to a compromise with residents. She told Fox 5 days later she wished the city had been more open about their plans from the beginning.
I wish we'd done better. I wish we'd done a better job of communicating from the very beginning.
Residents
she got Down syndrome. What is she doing right there?
Done a better job of communicating from the very beginning.
Why she's nodding like
told
that?
Fox 5 days later he had been more open.
I wish we'd done better. I wish we'd done.
She got Down syndrome or something. Anyway,
that's what you brought. Okay. I ain't doing it.
You know what, Cassidra? I'm gonna skip these two things because this is Asian. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But even though they are in Africa too, so I want you to see this one though, Cassidra, because this one I want y'all. I wanted to
you a Black college student, okay, was urinated on by her roommate in the dorm. You would say, well, obviously, the institution is going to have
whooped her ass, right?
I
didn't talk about that.
I wouldn't even reported that, honey.
Obviously, she didn't.
I swear I wouldn't have reported that. She wouldn't have been around to report nothing. I wouldn't have reported it. We just happily ever after. I'm just saying.
He said, obviously, the university should have
bad. What the hell? You didn't wear her behind out. You didn't pick. I don't know. We raising punks. I don't know what it is. We raising some punks, y'all. Sorry. Y'all need to teach y'all kids when to fight and how to fight. Because this is ridiculous.
That's when to fight right there.
That's the one to fight for. You on top of my head pissing on me, and I'm gonna lay there and call who?
Oh, you gonna eat this?
You should eat.
You gonna
Okay.
eat that?
Ooh, honey. Okay. Go ahead. I'm listening.
NYU student claims that is exactly what happened.
Oh no, this is true. No,
Did
it can't
absolutely
be.
nothing. Here it is.
My roommate urinated on me at 5:26 last Saturday, and
What?
NYU sucks. Like NYU sucks at handling these types of situations. So I just want to detail what happened to me yesterday, so I don't forget it, and because genuinely I have no more hope left, like at all. During the week, they sent me an email basically saying that they were going to have an escort for me, and they had asked my roommate to not be in the dorm at the time that I was moving out. I was supposed to move out from 3 to 5 p.m. I thought that this meant
I'm gonna stop this right there because there's a
Man,
lot of talking here.
forecast. I'm just saying. I'm saying she's already complained about the roommate, right? You've already complained. So if she's not supposed to be there, and she's there, so you're clear, to do what you have every God-given right to defend yourself. Seriously, that's just over the top. You wake up and somebody is pissing on your face, on your bed, on you. Come on, anybody will lose that. That's when you're supposed to go off and use insanity. I thought I was back in wherever, who knows what, about drowning or something. So I had to, come on.
I mean, I would say it gotta be fake, but the thing is, I believe her. She probably thought that she was her friend.
Friends don't piss on friends. I'm sleeping, you up there pissing? What? That's a friend? We need to know what friends are, or you need a definition of what friends do for friends. Friends don't piss on friends. That's not a friend. And this is what we have to teach our children. When do I fight? When is it okay to fight? You turning your cheek and then you get another cheek pissed on. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
When we were coming up, we fought.
Yeah, we fighting for that. I mean, come on.
We fought.
I mean, somebody spit on you, like you would. That's unthinkable.
Oh, you really fought when you spat on somebody. Oh, you really, you didn't even think twice. You just got busy.
And you talking about some urine?
And pooping and spitting and throwing up is crazy. That's fighting stuff. But we have to teach our children. We're not teaching our children when to defend themselves. So they grow around letting folk piss and poop on them and and nothing. But go ahead. I'm gonna try to be quiet.
All right. And then this is gonna lead into the topic.
His own life. Put him a full mask. Wrongful death lawsuit. A black 11-year-old takes his own life after being bullied by a teacher. Wrongful death lawsuit is stating a fifth grader and a fifth grade teacher. The fifth grade teacher relentlessly bullied, according to the suit,
what was his
11-year-old child for months. And the Florida school board, quote, took no action.
Oh, okay.
To stop it before he took his own life. Parents of the young child who unalived himself 2 years ago are suing a Florida school board, alleging board members did nothing to stop a fifth grade teacher who mercilessly bullied the child and encouraged classmates to do the same. It gets worse.
Worse.
According to the Ocala News and WCJB News, parents Tika Johnson and Lewis Johnson Jr. filed a complaint against the Marion County School Board. In the wrongful death suit cited by the news outlet, the Johnsons said that their 11-year-old son, Lewis Johnson III, quote, continuously.
And they knew this.
Consistently.
And you knew this.
and was relentlessly publicly bullied by his teacher.
And they knew it.
Is Donna Marie White. This is when he was a student at Legacy Elementary.
Elementary school, Cassandra.
Elementary. But your mama knew this and your daddy knew this. Where's her obituary? Because at this point, you ain't got nothing to live for at this point. You just don't lose it. You know what I'm saying? This is just, you know what? Forecast, I'm done. It just makes no sense. I'm trying to make sense of all of the stupidity. We just don't ever fight back. Our ancestors fought. Our ancestors fought back.
Our ancestors.
Like
we was educated by our own.
Exactly. We didn't have to be bothered with this. But we still, even after this, we still put our babies in her class. Because you know she's going to be found not guilty anyway. But she's going to go back to teaching. And it's still going to be some more students that, you know, you're going to still allow her to educate your children. Whatever. I'm just, whatever.
It's not funny, Cassandra, because it's like
that's stupidity.
It's really like a deer in court. Like, yo, this lion cub was eating on this baby deer leg, and this was wrong. Lion, please judge this little cub lion as you would judge me.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Your parents knew it. How long was he in her class? You talking about since August of last year? You know, when school started, all this time he's in her class and you're not doing anything about it? Who does that? Who does that? You're letting your child go to school every day being tormented by these crackers. Tormented. And that's okay? Your son needed some help and you weren't anywhere. Now you crying, trying to file a lawsuit. Get out of here. Get out. Dismissed. Yeah. Case dismissed because you stupid.
It's Ocala Fuller too, by the way.
Please.
Yeah. For several months while engaged in an quote open, notorious, and protracted pattern of bullying by systematically and chronically inflicting hurt and or psychological distress on Lewis Johnson III, including but not limited to unwanted and repeated verbal humiliation and insulting behavior, and encouraging other students to engage in the same behavior.
Yo, you have to teach your children that they gotta be warriors because they born in the straight lion den. As you know how hard you gotta fight to get up out of there, you know. And when you see like the brothers like we talking about earlier, this is why it's important that you protect your own and you put that mentality into them as a child, because that's the psychological thing. Like we got to overcome so many negative traumas that's put on us from a societal point of view that our parents get from a societal point of view. And one of the generations got to eat all the traumas. And you know what? I'm pissed off about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, yeah, that pisses me off. And they have to pay for that. They're going to pay for that. You know what I'm saying?
They paying. Oh, yeah.
But you cannot continue to let any young child, like even just watching TV, you see how much still right now, you see, even though you see more positive black stuff on TV than ever, but how much negative stuff, because I know like you're gonna see Boys in the Hood. This is the black movie, Boys in the Hood, you know what I'm saying? Juice, you know, this is the black movies, you know what I'm saying? You don't see like this is the mindset that they get you to think that, and you distrust yourself. And how could you distrust it? And they get you to think that they are your saviors, and this good white person is the only person that can save you.
Well, no other teachers that can teach her baby. You're gonna leave your child in that demon's classroom. Shame on you. And now you hurt and you mad. Now you trying to file a lawsuit. You need to file a lawsuit on yourself for being stupid.
But
I don't understand stuff like that.
And that leads us to what we're saying. And why do they do this? You know, and that leads to us talk to the school to prison pipeline. how we are bred to be slaves, pretty much.
So let's talk about why Black boys are overdiagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder.
Oppositional defiant disorder. You hear that?
Whatever that means.
It means a deer running away from a lion is a disorder. Like, it's crazy.
Success Brand here with a mental health moment. ODD is when a child is.
You ever heard of drapetomania? That means they was like a slave is crazy for trying to escape slavery. They call it drapetomania.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
That's what that's called.
They had a law about it. He crazy for trying to escape. These people crazy.
Oppositional defiant disorder.
Oh Lordy, that's crazy.
So
you're supposed to try to run from your oppressors, huh? Just stay there and turn the other cheek.
Right. You didn't let this white boy smack you in the face? What's wrong with you?
Success Brand here with a mental health moment. So ODD is when a child is constantly defiant, angry, or refuses to follow rules. Some say Black boys are just bad, but many of these kids aren't defiant. They're misunderstood and reacting to trauma. I've got a client, a Black 10-year-old, he gets in trouble for talking back to his teacher. Instead of asking why, they label him with ODD. But at home, he's dealing with stress, hunger, instability, instead of punishment. We need more trauma-informed care in our schools.
No, you need to educate your own children because they don't know about our children.
Exactly.
Period. Make an excuse why to leave your child with them. What an idiot.
And you know what my hope is, Cassidra? That we would be the lion and the example, but we want to be the deer.
We really do.
And I don't know if what he's saying is true, but I'm going to play this anyway.
East states the Department of Education did nothing but mass incarcerate African American people.
If you do any research on Rockefeller, you'll know what he's about and what he implemented and how he basically implemented what we know as the Department of Education that came from what he established called the General Education Board, where his wife started getting the other wives together and started creating Black colleges to educate Black people in the manner in which they wanted us to be educated. And that same system of education is still here today. And I know we were talking about the Department of Education. I actually like the fact that they're getting rid of it because all it did was mass incarcerate Black folks. It made us tax takers instead of inventors. When you think about everything that's great in the world, bro, the lady who created the cell phone, the man who created the World Wide Web, they was not educated by the Department of Education. The Department of Education was established in 1980. Yes. They educated us, bro. Our generation, we the most jail generation.
Damn. Okay. Damn.
You understand? They created the school and prison pipeline.
And look, Bakari get mad at me for talking about certain generations, right? But this is how it went, right? In the 50s and stuff, they pushed that whole integration, and you had like the art of selling to the Negro, and you had the Highway Act where you destroyed the Black towns to where they had to become dependent on white businesses, right? Then you move on to the 60s
Take
where
the business out of the neighborhoods.
Yep, and you start bringing immigrants in, and all sorts of stuff.
Chinese people. Yep.
And then the 70s, early 70s, late 60s, that's when you start first getting educated. Like, you going to force Ruby Bridges, she was in the 50s, but you know what I'm saying. It was a bunch of Ruby Bridges at that point. My mama was Ruby Bridges. She had to integrate schools.
Integrate nothing. If it ain't already there, no. Stick with your own. Go to your schools.
And then they hit you with the whole feminism and independent woman thing. And then
and look at us now.
broken homes. And all while this was happening, they instituted the projects in the 60s.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then that's when the quote unquote welfare. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the 50s. Going back to that, that's when the Mordenham report came out about how they was
Yes.
gonna do all of that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
And then okay, so skipping ahead, then you hit the 80s, and then you see the education system. Then you start to see what we about to talk about now, which
Yeah.
is the private prison
Yeah.
industry. You know what I'm
Man, that
saying?
thing is
And
crazy.
drugs.
Yes.
So, and then it got crazy in the 90s. And now we revolutionaries today. So that's how ill we are as a people.
Yeah.
But speaking of young
Oh man.
incarceration,
Ooh,
young
that
If you
judge
people,
ain't
right
sitting
there.
down, then you may
right?
want to take a seat because what I'm about to share with
Yeah,
you
you're
may
gonna
just
need to
blow
sit
your
on
mind.
this.
Meanwhile, in Rutherford County, Tennessee,
We begin this hour with an alarming new report based on a joint investigation by ProPublica and Nashville Public Radio. A decades-long system and practice of arresting and jailing mostly Black children in Rutherford, Tennessee. At the head, the mother of the county, as juvenile court judge Donna Scott Davenport sometimes called herself. That's according to this report. Now, the judge calling her work, quote, God's mission, all while performing so-called God's mission as the head of the county's juvenile justice system, allegedly directing police to arrest children at an alarming rate. It was literally a school to jail pipeline, according to this article.
so let me tell y'all how this all came about. So the mother of the county, the judge, instituted a policy that all children charged with crimes be processed through the detention center. So in 2016, 11 Black elementary children were detained and or locked up for allegedly witnessing a fight between a 5 and a 6-year-old. And these elementary kids were actually charged with criminal responsibility, which isn't a real charge. She simply made it up. And you got the caucasity to say that this is God's mission? The hell? And this piece of work was actually instructing law enforcement to lock kids up in detention for simple things as truancy. And then she would label those kids a threat to justify them staying in detention. And as a juvenile justice advocate, that is a bunch of bullshit. And just to put things in perspective, in 2014, 48% of children were jailed under Judge Davenport's watch. The statewide average at that time was 5%. Oh, it gets worse. So kids as young as 7 years old have been locked up in her county. The county alone has violated the federal law 192 times. Kids have been locked up for more than 24 hours and at times up to 10 days.
How are you still
In
employed?
2017, Rutherford County agreed to pay out $397,000.
All right, so that's the literal school
Isn't
to
that
prison
crazy?
pipeline.
But she was doing her God's duty. She said God told her to, or this was her God, or whatever. She was doing what her daddy told her to do, and we know who her daddy is. She was doing what he told her to do.
Yeah. So, and all right, I'll do this one real quick.
Let's talk about the dark history of why jails were created. In 1863, Black slaves were freed, but it was more like a setup. After the Civil War, where 179,000 Black men fought hoping for equality, the government turned prisons into a new form of slavery. By the 1880s, over 30,000 inmates were locked up, most of them Black. Many were falsely accused and forced into hard labor, digging levees, building railroads, picking cotton, and mining coal for companies. Even kids weren't spared. George Stinney, a 14-year-old, was electrocuted in 1944 for a crime he didn't commit. Then, in the 1990s, the crime bill signed by Joe Biden made things worse, leading to mass incarceration that hit Black and brown communities the hardest. The truth is, Black people were never truly freed. Our fight for equality continues, and we must stay woke. Let's talk about the dark history of why jails were.
All right, so you understand, right? And I'm not even gonna go into the whole 13th amendment thing, but yeah, it started to be much more incarceration of Black folks once they said, unless you see what they never told you when they would like pass the 13th, that they didn't say, oh well, we're gonna make all the laws, we're gonna get all the law enforcement, all the judges, the police, You know what I'm saying? Well, we should have knew that, but so you doing something is a crime. They burn down your city and you rebuilding your house is a literal crime. They would make it a zone violation and they can fine you. And they had a law called peonage, which was already outlawed for them in Europe and America and everything, but they were still charging black people with, and that is if you owe a debt, then they can lock you up. And so they would lock somebody up, charge you for being locked up, but you are charged more for being locked up than you make in a day for your slave labor. So you could never get out because you will never pay your debt. You know what I'm saying? So they had peonage. They locked people up for being homeless, right? And what they would do with the children who were homeless, they would give them back to the former owners at a certain in the 1800s. They would give them back to the former owners, and if they tried to escape, they can kill them or do whatever they wanted to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway.
And that law they still have today. They still kill you. Disciplining. What's that Virginia Act that you discipline a slave and you kill the slave, no charges? That law is still in place. People say, "Oh, it's not on the books." Oh, it's on the books. Their books, not yours, but it's still on the books. But you can see how they handle. Just like the state gets $100 and some per inmate per day, and those judges have stocks. So they're double dipping. They're putting people in jail and then they recouping the money. The DAs, the lawyers, all of them get money off of that. That's the stock. CCA had corrections. Used to work there. They had stock. Judges, all of them, police officers had stock in the prisons. So they double dipping. So of course you filling up the jails, then you getting your kickback. But you had to keep the jail with 90% full. If you drop below that, then you had to pay them. That's the system.
Yeah.
And what in Georgia they building more jails, right? In Georgia.
And see, this is the thing, right? It's here. It said Louisiana first privatized penitentiary was in 1844, right?
Okay.
So, but and modern private prisons first emerged in 1984 for profit, right? So CCA, which you was just talking about, and they
CCA.
took over in Hamilton County, Tennessee. And by the way, that is not far from where the original Klan from the 1800s was in Tennessee. So that's where it started. And the Klan was erected, or like pretty much like when they had the 13th Amendment that put us in prison, but for the MAGA people, they was like became the Klan. You know what I'm saying? They was mad that black people got this thing. So then they started lynching and all of that because we was no longer somebody else's property. They got punished, and when you was a white person's property, they would have to pay or go to jail or something. But as a free person, if you hang a free Negro, well, you just trying to solve the Negro problem of America. I don't have a good video for this one. I ain't feel like going through it, but I was trying to find one at the beginning of the corporation.
Hey, there's some evidence that perhaps crime does pay. States have tightened their budgets and they are turning to private firms like Corrections Corporation of America to run their prisons. The company runs 65 facilities, making it the largest operator of private prisons in the country. Corrections Corporation net income risen each of the last 4 years. As for the future, the company forecasts the number of prison inmates will grow by more than 24,000 per year by 2015. Now, at the same time, the company says that states will have less money for prison construction, leading to more outsourcing.
And I forgot to because they building a nice. It's almost like they building nice prisons. Like what the hell is they putting like nice ass prisons? Like you putting all of this energy and money into prisons because they building one here. Like they just built the jail and now they're like adding additions onto the jail as if it's a business. Well, I guess it is, right? So it's just probably in your area, they probably have some kind of prison that they are working on or expanding or building. Probably in your area. I probably shouldn't play this one, but Okay.
We're in rural western Pennsylvania, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. We're on our way to a little town called Phillipsburg. And the reason we're going to Phillipsburg is because there's a private prison there that's about to close. The Moshannon Valley Correctional Center was a prison for federal inmates. But the government didn't run it. It paid a private company to run it, about $60 per prisoner per day. Money the company used to turn a profit. As part of a larger effort to phase out its use of private, Guard agreed to speak with us anonymously. Do you come from a corrections background, or was this the first time you had done this kind of work?
It's the first time.
And were there a lot of people like that?
I would say the majority of the initial hiring, there aren't many jobs like this one.
What does that mean for you? I mean, are you going to have to change industry?
Anyway, how do they protect their profits? They get government funding and then they arrest more people. So that's how they do it.
That's what they do best.
For doing the same thing they do, they arrest you for it, by the way.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's not, the laws aren't for them.
And so speaking of, since people want to protest, this was a year ago when people wasn't going to protest. So let's bring it back up now since y'all want to. Of the places that use prison labor the same way they did in the 1800s.
Comes from, but the results of a new investigation are highlighting how a large variety of some of our favorite treats can be linked back to prisoners. Jackie Ibanez takes a closer look.
While you probably know which stores your groceries come from, you may be unaware that some of those items could be linked back to prison labor.
I feel like I had became a slave.
That's according to the results of a 2-year investigation by the Associated Press, which traced hundreds of millions of dollars worth of various crops and meats back to the hands of incarcerated Americans. Across the country.
Now, it's funny, when it's positive stuff, you see a bunch of different groups of people. When you're talking about some prison labor, you see a bunch of brothers.
Okay.
And looked like they was doing something from like the 1800s to me.
I'm telling you, they make them go out and work and everything now. They have jobs, and but you can't get jobs when you get out. The same jobs that you had when you was in prison, you can't go and do those jobs. That's the main thing we wanted to talk about. Also, how they get out of prison and you can't. Hey, Jermaine, you can't. You get out of prison and then you can't find a job. Paying worth anything, nor can you rent an apartment. That's why Ram in the Bush was created, because I was tired of seeing people who couldn't get jobs, but you could work in the prison for 5 cents. But then when you get out of prison, you couldn't find that same job. You couldn't work, or you can't go to school if you have a felony. Why? Why can't I better myself? And then you look up and you see, you understand the process. You understand their assignment. But it's going to be up to Black folk to establish their own businesses. You've been in prison? Get your own business. Get you a certificate and create your own tables. Go for HVAC, go for plumbing, go for computer programming, go for electronic engineering, anything that's dealing with computers or plumbing, HVAC. Go and get you a 10-month certificate and create your own table. Stop begging them to help you to eat. They're not. $7.50 is not going to feed somebody. $8.50, $9, $10 is not going to feed you, especially when rent is $1,500. So it's time for us to do better. I'll rest.
Yeah. And
another thing, I'm sorry. And another thing, when they go and most times you've gone to prison for 20 years. Why is your record not clean? Why is it that they still holding their record and they'll put on the application, you have a felony. Have you ever been to prison? Why should that matter? You have a whole president that has felonies, right? For one. And for two, he should take that off the applications, because he has a felony and, check the box, but still got a high paying job. So why are our men being limited? That shouldn't even be on the application. And if they got the experience from in jail, why are they not allowed to use that same experience outside the jail? Why is it that they can't find apartments or housings? Felonies, you still got to eat. You still got to live. You got to live somewhere. So I'm going to limit you because you can't come and rent an apartment. What? That's discrimination, right? What are we doing? That's discrimination. Then you go and give him a job paying under $10 an hour. And then his rent, you got to rent a room for $600 a week. Give me a break. What are you doing? And then who's in those boarding houses? Felons. So now you're getting ready to get in trouble again because you got a bunch of felons around you. That's crazy. But you just went to prison for 20 years and come out and still can't do anything for yourself. Can't get a job, can't get a house, can't get what are we doing? Why has that not been fought yet? No rest.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Prisoners are working in fields, cattle farms, and more. They're harvesting materials and raising cows that the AP report found were later used to make things like Frosted Flakes, ballpark hot dogs, gold medal flour, Coca-Cola, and hamburgers, just to name a few. The AP says many of these products are sold at the likes of Target, Walmart, Kroger, Whole Foods, McDonald's, and more. Most prisoners are paid pennies if given anything, and it's all legal.
The 13th Amendment prohibits slavery and involuntary servitude, except that there is a provision.
The key word is accept.
Exactly. So why did they put that in there, and why have we not fought that today? Why are we still doing that?
And also,
they're not going to just say, oh, we're going to let black folk go. You always got to have a clause, and then you'll create a law around the clause that you put in the law.
And they also put in involuntary servitude for a reason. So you can volunteer to be a servant.
Exactly.
For like $10 an hour, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Whoops. Is it that high? That was like $8.50, $9. I don't think it's no $10.
Yeah, you're right. I'm talking like a liberal, I guess.
That allows for incarcerated people to be forced to work.
Some supporters say prison labor saves taxpayers money while giving inmates a chance to improve their lives behind bars. The AP says many companies list.
Oh, they're doing it for their benefit, I guess, and ours. So according to them, we'd be better off doing it as prison labor than working ourselves. And then, of course, you have the racist judges and stuff like that.
Now accused of making racist comments and using shocking, derogatory language. Thank you for joining us.
This is in Detroit, by the way.
I'm Mike Duffy. 7 investigator Heather Catallo joins us now with more about why an Oakland County probate judge has been removed from her docket. Heather?
Mike, a high-ranking probate court official says he's been recording Judge Kathleen Ryan's statements for years. Even though probate court administrator Edward Hutton says he's been harassed by Judge Ryan, he says he does not want this to be about him. Hutton says he's coming forward now because he wants to protect the people who have to face Judge Ryan in the courtroom.
The Honorable Kathleen A. Ryan presiding.
Good morning. You may be seated.
After more than 13 years on the bench, Oakland County Chief Probate Pro Tem Judge Kathleen.
She look like she's fresh out the cave.
Ooh, fresh. You still smell the cave on her.
Yeah, they do have this like weird smell if you think about it.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Ryan is out of her courtroom. Chief Probate Judge Linda Hallmark removed Judge Ryan from her docket last week, announcing that a complaint about internal allegations of unprofessional conduct was sent to the Judicial Tenure Commission. Judge Ryan was arrested in 2021 for domestic violence, but those charges were later dismissed. And now she's back in the headlines.
So she didn't beat the dude up, white boy up, whoever she messing with. You know she's fresh out the cave, for real.
Mm-hmm. So if you're black from any other country, you're doing way better. If you're an American black person, then you're a lazy piece of.
The 7 investigators have obtained the recordings that county officials say prompted Judge Ryan's removal.
He's just I have no use for him.
She's made it a living hell in the past 6 years. I mean, it's been terrible. It's cost me relationships. I think it's affected my health.
And you see this good white boy waited until it affected him to come out with it. He's just holding it and just whatever. He ain't do it because he cared.
Can't sleep.
Attorney Edward Hutton is the Oakland County Probate Court Administrator. He's in charge of running everything that's not under the judge's purview inside one of the state's largest probate courts. Hutton alleges Judge Ryan has been calling him both during work and after hours for years. And Hutton says during those hours and hours of calls, Judge Ryan said highly inappropriate things.
Why did you start recording the calls?
I just felt like it wasn't going to change.
I can honestly say that, okay, I'm not systemically racist, I'm a new racist. I never was, but now I am because you're shoving the down my throat and making allegations that you don't know about. You're telling me who I am and you've never met me. You. You.
Hutton says the judge also.
So she a new racist. She a new racist.
She ain't new. She ain't new. What you talking about? She knew. She ain't new. Shoot.
And then of course the experiment that they did on prisoners that we don't really even talk about that still happens to this day. I don't even know how a news channel got commercials, but all right.
From the city this week, activists are demanding that more be done after inmates, mostly black men, endured harmful experiments at Holmesburg Prison. Eyewitness News reporter Marcela Baeta was at a vigil today and has more on the trauma impacted families are experiencing from tests done decades ago.
My family was destroyed.
Adrienne Jones-Alston is angry. She says she still remembers the scars on her father's back.
Right behind these walls, where my father, Leotis Jones, and countless other inmates were human guinea pigs.
From the 1950s to the 1970s at Holmesburg Prison, Jones-Alston says her father was among the inmates subjected to unethical experiments, exposing them to harmful chemicals, viruses, and other substances. 2 days ago, Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney apologized, saying the men endured inhumane and horrific abuse. Alan Hornblum, who has written 2 books about the experiment, says more apologies are needed.
We are now looking at City Council, and we've been given signs.
The white boy said more
How many
apologies.
years later? They need to stay with themselves. How many years later?
Like apparently for the white boy, the apology is good enough. Won't even need experiments. Always because we know it's gonna happen. Just put them in the sun. Just blow up all the sunscreen factories in the world and see what happens. And so you brought up Cop City earlier, and this is today. So
it's been an important day regarding the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center that sparked debate and controversy across the city. This morning, city and state officials, including the mayor and the governor, cut the ribbon on the new facility.
Well, tonight, demonstrators who protested construction of the center for years promised to keep on fighting. Fox 5's Christopher King is live at Atlanta City Hall tonight with reaction from both sides. Christopher?
Russ, Courtney, the training center has been the focal.
So you see 18 something, and now you see today.
Point of a bitter fight. Supporters say first responders need to replace the old, outdated site, but critics say leaders are ignoring the will of the people. Dozens of protesters chanted and carried signs at the Jackson Street Bridge. They rallied early Tuesday evening against the newly opened training center for Atlanta police and first responders.
He launched a global movement around these cop cities. That here in Atlanta, we made the rest of the country aware of this move towards militarization.
Activists have tried to block the controversial $118 million training center they call Cop City.
I remain hopeful in what the power of the people is able to accomplish.
1, 2, 3, cut! This after state.
Hold on, because Israel. Let's see, in this black city, how many black people are involved here? It's a lot.
3, cut! This after state and city leaders cut the ribbon Tuesday morning for the grand opening of the facility.
This is quite a day for the city of Atlanta.
The 85-acre complex sits in DeKalb County's South River Forest.
It is the Atlanta Public Trading Center that will ensure that we recruit, equip, and retain the officers and firefighters necessary to keep the city safe.
You know what's funny? They did that in a city that they call the Black City. Atlanta is like, yo, that's the black capital.
That's not shocking. That's
Let's
what they
put it
do.
where we train these fools at.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe it's a coincidence. I'm speaking on some,
The project has been the center of a bitter fight
conspiracy
between
theories. So.
activists and police, with clashes at times turning violent. One incident deadly when officers shot and killed Manuel Tehran back in January 2023. Investigators say a state trooper fired in self-defense.
I support anybody's right to oppose any platform that I stand on. But there are rules to this.
Other protesters launched a petition to
Y'all know these Europeans that came over and gave us some rules now. Y'all best to follow that court. This is a deer. Like, listen, you know the lions got a process. Y'all can be mad all you want, but whatever.
force a referendum to let voters decide the center's future. But that remains tied up in federal court as the city forges ahead with the center.
Is it too late? When is it too late? It's never too late. You know, this fight is not over. They may have won this battle, but the war continues.
Cassidra, always a Negro face.
Always. Always. These folk are, I'm telling you, when we're gonna have to take care of the coons first. You know, it's gonna be really sad fighting both them and the coons. Come on now. It's gonna be sad. Trying to handle our business and fight them too.
And then, of course, you have what happens to inmates, which is a common thing that you can find like all the time.
Disturbing and graphic details have been released in how Mid-State Correctional inmate Messiah Nantwi died on March 1st. This as 10 corrections officers from both Mid-State and Marcy Correctional facilities are indicted and face a judge in Oneida County Court for the first time. It is your top story tonight. First, let's break down the top charges for each defendant. And Jonah Levi, manslaughter, gang assault, conspiracy, and more. Thomas Eck, Craig Klemick
wore the cuffs into Oneida County Court Wednesday, charged with crimes ranging from manslaughter and murder.
Not an intentional murder, but a murder so depraved and so wanton and disregarding of human life that New York law allows it to rise to the level of intentional murder.
To gang assault and conspiracy.
On the following morning, at a diner called Raspberries in Oneida County, all of the co-conspirators met and agreed to continue with the story that everything they did was completely proper.
The special prosecutor says 10:55 a.m. March 1st, Mid-State Correctional Facility inmate Messiah Nantwi was fine, and by 10:58, a radio call was made for backup and a CERT team response. Special Prosecutor Bill Fitzpatrick says the grand jury in this case suggests it's something that spiraled out of control unnecessarily.
The alleged contact that began between the National Guard and Mr. Nantwi had to do with Mr. Nantwi interjecting himself in another incarcerated individual's effort to obtain medication.
Some of the 10 officers charged in Mid-State Correctional Facility inmate Messiah Nantwi's death are accused of beating him with their fists, boots, and batons in the head, delivering 69 blows to his body alone, continuing the assault in a stairwell on the way to the infirmary, and dumping the 22-year-old in a holding cell in the infirmary, and continuing the assault there with a conscious effort to cover it up.
Fragments of Mr. Nantwi's entrance into the infirmary are captured on one corrections officer's body-worn camera. It is not a continuing flow, but there are enough indications to name and identify the individuals involved and some of the things that occurred. Many other corrections officers, apparently intentionally, either turned off their cameras, placed them in an area of concealment, or simply looked the other way.
After the deadly assault, Fitzpatrick says, came a plot to plant a weapon, a plot that was caught on tape.
A body-worn camera intentionally hung in a men's room at the infirmary of Mid-State caught two of the co-conspirators discussing the conspiracy to plant the weapon, again posthumously, on Mr. Nantwi.
From the state corrections commissioner in Utica today, acknowledgement and a promise to do better.
the people.
So that was 13 days ago that this put up, but they didn't miss any of the thing. Plant the weapon, take 13 of them on one. Look like a young brother, and they all get on code. Right, the other ones turn their head, and probably including the one black one that's up there. You already know it's one black person that was in the scene that saw it and ain't say nothing.
I ain't say nothing, a word.
I'm gonna just put money on it right now. It's gonna be one black person that saw it, who's a security guard, and ain't say a damn thing. So you see how it go, Cassidra. Buwana says it's a dangerous place. You gotta look out for inmates and correctional officers.
Mm-hmm.
All they got to do is ask for a presidential pardon. Well, that's if they're convicted in the first place. It's 10 on one, and they all probably strapped up on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
ain't nobody. I did that for 5 years. I was sick of it. Mm-mm.
And I'm seeing like people have a stupid argument. They talking about something. Can 100 people take on one gorilla? Well, they need 10 of them to take on one of us.
Okay.
So how about that?
Mm.
But to go out on a positive thing here, like you was talking about, Cassidra, because you got rum in the bush.
Talk about a lot of the barriers and obstacles I had coming out of prison. Trying to get a job was obviously the biggest one externally that someone else would see, right? Like, yo, because I applied for a rack of jobs. But honestly, I knew I was going to have to apply for a rack of jobs. Like, nothing inside of me while I was in that cell told me that when I come home, oh, yeah, I'm going to get a job day one. Da, da, da. It was always like, people in prison, people with felonies can't find jobs. Like, you hear that the entire time, right? And so I'm walking out of prison with a little bit of apprehension from even putting in the application. But then over time, I'm like, yo, bro, it's a numbers game. You got to put the application in. One, you've never been on a job interview, ever, right? You need to learn how to articulate yourself. You need to learn how to sell yourself. And at worst, you have the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody, and you ain't had real conversations like this in a long time. So as an adult, now you have the opportunity to try out these new ideas that you had. You have the opportunity to talk about all of the crazy things that you were doing along this last 8 years of your life. Talk about a lot of them.
Yeah, so what you think about that, Cassidra?
I'm telling you, I think I did one that was talking about you can't, prison is not there to reform you. Okay. They're not there to reform you at all. It used to be where you can go to school. I don't know if you still can. Some prisoners got degrees, which was good. Okay. But you got no mental health. You didn't get no counseling. You didn't get anything. And if you're going to put somebody away, you don't have to put somebody away for 50 years. And it's this wild kingdom up there. People really don't understand what goes on up there. A lot of men come out gay. Because if I'm locked up 25, 40 years with a man and no woman, what do you think going to happen? You got a lot of HIV in there. You got a lot of down low. Men come out, and these women, these single women with these boys, who do you think they're coming after? Them little boys. Because they know eventually this woman is going to want somebody to keep her children, and I'm going to be right there ready and waiting. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. It's not about the little girls anymore. It's about the little boys. So we have to start understanding what really goes on. And I don't think we're educated enough to understand what goes on in prisons. And, we just think, well, they're all of them guilty. No, they're not all guilty. I worked in a prison. I'm telling you, they're not all guilty. You know what I mean? I've seen so many that weren't guilty, but because you didn't have the money and you took a plea. Not having the money for an attorney, and then the court-appointed attorneys did absolutely nothing for you. So you already knew you was going to jail because they had so many cases, they didn't have time to fix yours. They didn't have time to find the evidence. So they made a plea. So you spent 5 years or 10 years in a jail cell for something that you didn't do because you didn't have the money to pay for a real lawyer. So they already knew if you had a court-appointed attorney, just know that you're going to jail because they're gonna plea you out. And that's what the saying was in jail. You got an appointment, you're going to jail. You're going to spend some time. But I don't think we as a society know how serious this is. A lot of people go to jail aren't guilty. A lot of times I had seen one where, did you see the one where the police officer, and I don't know if that's the one, you could show just that one where the police officer set the guy up and the judge ended up giving him the money back ended up suing the police officer and gave the boy $100,000. And the police officer said, "Your Honor, I don't have that money. I don't have that kind of money." But you planted a gun on this. And how many times does that really happen in our community where they're not guilty, where drugs are planted on them and guns are planted on them, and because they're Black and they get a white judge, that they don't bother going into the details of it, knowing that gun was planted or those drugs was planted, and they get away with it. That happened to a young man recently. This was the last year where the police stopped. I think it was in Mississippi. God knows what other state, but it was in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken, or New Orleans, one of them. And the police officer stopped the guy, and he said something smart, and she jacked him up and was tasing him, and then ended up planting drugs on him, and then her brother or husband comes up there, and it's just but we know this happens, but they don't do anything about it. They know that the police department has been infiltrated. That we know that. The FBI told us. And what do they do about it? What have they done about it? Nothing. And that's the sad part about it. Guy, hi, welcome. That's the sad part about it, that they don't do anything about it. And I rest with that.
No, yeah, that's the truth, and shouts out to the guy in the building. But yeah, that's the whole purpose, is to take us from children to adults.
Mm-hmm.
And, keep us on the same loop over and over, right? And the only way that they can survive is by our blood and our sweat and our tears, right? And once you stop giving that to them, then that's why they fight so hard to stop it. You know what I'm saying? America is the most incarcerated place, but you know who most of that incarcerated population is. And most of that comes from nonviolent drug offenses.
Exactly.
But they have billion-dollar corporations
that
make money. That's why they all doped out now.
Exactly.
See, we got over the crack epidemic. Do you know how strong you got to be? We still coming back, but we reached another level from the crack epidemic, you know what I'm saying, that they put on our communities. But then they made all of that money by locking us up for that. Same thing that they make billions of dollars for. But anyway, to wrap it up, Cassidra, you want to say something? Cassidra? Can you hear me, Cassidra?
Say again. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, like, just to wrap up everything, the whole conversation. You got something to say? You want to say something?
Yeah, I think we have to start paying attention to these the stories that nobody else want to talk about. And this is a story that a lot of Black folk in our community should be talking about, is the prison system, because we know that we are locked up more than any other culture, and we're given the longest sentence, and it could be for the same crime, just like the Anthony young man and the other white boy that just stabbed a Mexican dude and got off. He was not guilty today. But we're not paying attention to that. Nobody's mentioning that case at all. We're so busy thinking about the Anthony's case, that nobody is understanding. In same case, same scenario, but we have to start paying attention to this legal injustice system. And the sad part about it is you have judges and DAs and lawyers who have put money into building these prisons. So they're double dipping. They're putting people in jail, okay, which don't look like them, okay? And they're getting stock. They're getting money from the prisoners that they put in jail. That's the sad part about it. And then they go in jail, go to jail, you can't come out, you can't get a job. And I tell every inmate, I said, once, if I'm talking to them on the phone, I tell them, I say, hey, build your own table. We can offer you training, paid on the job training. And that's why the foundation was built, paid on the job training. You can do that for 10 months, 12 months. You can work for the person that we put you with, or you can get a certificate, take that certificate, and employers, create your own table by. And I know everybody's not entrepreneurs, but most of them are. And that's what we want them to do. We want them to create their own tables and then hire your own. You get that training you need. You open up your a business, and trust me, I can send some more, inmate. I can send some more people to you, right? But let's start hiring our own and really paying attention and really getting invested with our own and stop trying to always work for other folk that don't like you or want to pay you $9 an hour or $8 an hour. I don't even know the legal, the minimum wage right now. I think it's what, $8, $9, $10 maybe. But still, what's that compared to rent being $1,000, $2,000? Okay. So I'm just saying, and then some of these apartments, you can't even, a nice apartment, you got to go live in a boarding house. A boarding house. If you've been in a boarding house, there are a lot of drugs, a lot of, a lot of things going on in the boarding house. Not a safe environment, not a clean environment for, people that's already dealing with some stuff. Then you get placed into that environment. Then guess what? Eventually you're going back because you put yourself in the wrong environment. But these are things that need to be paid attention to, and these are things that need to be fought. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be paying attention. But even with the Constitution, why haven't we, been taken? How come we haven't fought that before to take that out of the Constitution? Where if you go to jail or whatever, then you still a slave or you become a slave. That should have been fought a long time ago. But these are things that we just look at and we just, sweep it under the table and we keep moving, because it didn't affect us. Well, it has affected somebody, one of our family members. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, they was, men was leaving their families like crazy. They was leaving their kids, and their kids was 4. When they come out, they were 18 and 20 years old, grown, for small offenses, non-violent offenses. You have murderers, that murdered Black people like Amber Geiger, who got 12 years, and the woman that murdered the girl at the door, what'd she get? Did they do hers? Was it like 12 years, if I'm not mistaken? She didn't get that much time. And then you had Derek Chauvin, then you had who was it? Kim Porter, who killed the teenager who was driving. And she said she grabbed her taser instead. This is what I'm saying. They're getting these murderers are getting 12 years. When you got Black folk in jail for drugs for 45 years, 25 years, 30 years, life. One woman that Trump, he got her, he kind of excused her, gave her, he did something, exonerated her or something. That woman had a life sentence, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but now he has her working for him. Okay. And she's looking into the prison system, and the ones that have been overly like given a lot more time, he's telling her, okay, bring me that, and I'm gonna pardon them. That's a good thing. At least he's doing something right. That works for me and my family. Me and Black culture. But we have to start talking about these situations that's not favorable, because some people just don't care about inmates. They say, well, they need to be there and they did this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? You probably did something you didn't get caught for, but you should probably be in jail. And a whole lot more of them should be in jail. That's not. They get a tap on the wrist and they get to go and do, they burn down the mama's house. Okay, well, judge, slap on the wrist and, okay, he's been in jail a couple days. He's good now. And then you go down and kill the whole family. That's happened. I've heard that white boy say same scenario, things like that. We have to pay attention and we have to start changing. We have to be about business here in our community and fix some things that need to be fixed. And I rest with that.
No, yeah, that's all facts, And the interesting thing that you said about the 13th Amendment too, and the 14th Amendment. 'Cause I tell Black people, you ain't no citizen, never been a citizen.
No, unfortunately not. Nope.
But
that's why
the
they gotta
13th
go. Don't they have to renew it every so many years? They gotta renew that.
like every 7 years or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. But that your right to vote, like your right, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, they have to renew every so often. But yeah, the 13th Amendment, it says involuntary servitude, or except if you commit a crime. And Black people defend the 13th Amendment, even though they made specific things and they says persons, but the only times they never said you was a person. They say you 3/5 of a person. But And just to wrap it up, because I'm not gonna play it because we ain't got time, but I would have. Maybe I'll come back on another day because I wanted to show you this too. Hey, speaking of the dude Carmelo Anthony, you know the white dudes is hurt, but also the dude from the platform where they raise the money from, Give Us and Go. White dude was like, "Oh yeah, I have no pride in this being on his platform." And talked about this before, how they create platforms when they get rejected. So then you create your own platforms to raise the money on,
Yeah.
because you're giving these people who don't even like you money,
Yeah.
and they're going to take the money because they don't have no kind of morals or the Neanderthals. So
Yep.
they're going to talk against you but still take your money.
Of course.
So, what my last word is gonna be. I tried to do something positive and show like
I
the
love it.
teachers teaching children, but I couldn't find it. So this is gonna be my last words. This is from me.
There was a time when we used to meet evil on the battlefield, and guess what we did to it? We killed it. We didn't quibble about it. We didn't argue about it. We didn't fight about it. We killed it. When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, what did we do? We flew to Japan.
When they came up on the west
Killed
coast
the
of
Japanese
Africa,
Army and Navy.
killed them.
We didn't even quibble about it. I didn't start
Came to
this
South
fight.
Africa.
You did.
Say that one more time. I ain't start this fight. You did.
We didn't even quibble about it. I didn't start this fight. You did. You wanted to be left alone. You should have left me alone. We didn't argue and capitulate and talk about, well, maybe we shouldn't fight the Nazis that hard. No, they're bad.
Cassidra, maybe we shouldn't be hard on the white folk, the good white folk. No, they all bad.
They all bad. All of them. All AL.
Get rid of. What about the women and children?
All of them.
Especially the women and children.
Especially.
Get rid of them.
Some liberal somewhere is going to say that sounds awful. Too bad.
That's what Kofi will say. Too bad, Kofi.
Too bad.
Get mad at me if you want to. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it.
Somebody
It's
got
not
to
a matter
say
of
it.
vengeance. It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful.
Even though that part is fun too. I don't mind doing that either.
It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful. It's a matter of necessity. We have wicked people doing wicked things, torturing and murdering and raping. Time to call out those guys in green.
Guys in
have
black.
handle it. Or those boys in blue, and have them go handle it.
Boys in
We
black.
start handling our business again, because guys, what I said at the beginning about you getting in your cars, listening to your radio, putting on what you want to put on, and saying what you want to put on, keep thinking about it. Don't you feel it slipping away?
The
Don't
African
you feel it
identity.
slipping away? The further away we get from the concept of 1776 and why we declared our independence and how we declared our independence, the further we start sliding into making 1776
The further we get away from blackness, the more enslaved we're gonna be. Some people need killing, in the words of him. So I appreciate you, Cassidra. Shouts out to Guy in the building, Bawana. Shouts out to Jermaine.
Yeah.
Shouts out to the matron. Y'all subscribe to the matron and go to her channel. She live Monday and Tuesday. Monday at 7, Tuesday at 9 o'clock. So y'all definitely enjoy the readings about her. Shouts out to Raw in the building. And thank you, Cassidra. This is what Realm in the Bushes is about, to help the people who have been in there to find opportunities and jobs and everything that needs to be done. You don't just talk about it, you are about it. So y'all support Cassidra, and thank you for everything, and for your time and stuff.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're going to keep falling for anything.
Peace, family.